Hey guys, and welcome to Mom Coach Wife. If you are here for the first time, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, the bell for notifications, thumbs up or thumbs down. Let me know how you really feel. Same thing if you've been here before, and also if you've been here before, thank you so much for your support. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Alina Michelle, and this week we are going to be talking about how you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to. So let's start. So in this particular video, I was kind of going back and forth about making, not because of the topic of being able to do anything that you put your mind to. That's something that I seriously believe in, but because I am actually going to be using my own self as an example in this and touching on some things that were very sensitive in my life. Before I get into it, I just want to put this out here. I don't want anyone's sympathy, so please don't drop comments of sympathy. Hopefully you guys listen to that. And I also am not sharing this to get sympathy. Like, I'm hoping that my story actually helps someone else who has gone through similar things, and that it helps them to feel inspired that they can actually move forward and do whatever it is that they want to do, and know that it's all about their mindset. Like, it's not really anything more complex than that. Yes, it can be difficult to change your mindset and to really focus on different things, but that's really all it takes. So let's get into this. Okay, so like I said, you can literally do anything that you set your mind to. So I am going to be talking to you guys about my own personal journey. And first, we're just going to start off with this last month. So it's August currently. And last month in The Balanced Mom, we had an ab challenge, and I'll post my results up here somewhere and talk about that. So it's pretty crazy. This is one of the ways that I can really show you guys, like, so you have a visual of literally what can happen when you put your mind to something. So this was my second transformation. My first one I'll put over here. And both of these transformations show that, you know, if you really put your mind to something, you can get it done. I'm using fitness as an example because, again, it's something really easy for me to show you guys, but it's so much more than that, and that's where the story comes in. So to start, we have to go back to 2017 when I had my daughter. This isn't the first time that, you know, I had to change my mindset and really focus, but the story starts in 2017. So March 2017, had baby girl. 6 months later, got very, very sick. If you watched my transformation video, then you kind of know about that already. I was 140 when I got pregnant, 200 by the time that I had my daughter. 6 months later, I was down to 120 pounds. That's actually my high school weight. At that point, I was like really, really unhappy, and I didn't really realize at the time that it was so much more than just my weight. That was kind of what I focused on, and through different processes I started to figure out more, but we're not there yet. So 2017, I lose all this weight, and I was working like crazy. I was managing a building a business, while trying to restart the business that I had prior to having my daughter, that I had to stop when I got pregnant. So it was like so much different stuff going on at that particular point, and I have a 6-month-old. So thanks to my tribe, we pulled through, and we were able to get everything handled that needed to be handled, not just for myself, but also for my daughter, my husband, who also got sick right alongside me. So we definitely pulled through thanks to our amazing support team. So definitely one thing, I know we're talking about mentality, but one thing I have to give credit to is my support team. They're awesome, and there's a lot of things that I probably would still be struggling with if it wasn't for them. But anyways, fast forward through 2017, we get to the beginning of 2018, and I finally launch my business Case. If you don't know what Case is, it's kind of sitting to the side right now, but it is a small business hub that I was creating and I'm still creating, but it's kind of on a back burner at the moment. And just a few months after starting that, back in September again, obviously September was not my friend in 2017 or 2018, I literally lost the whole thing. I'm not going to get into that full story, but basically I had 3 different office suites for small businesses under a building owner that I also worked for, and they didn't want me to do it anymore. They wanted to sell the building. They thought that I was somehow in the way of them selling the building. I guess I've got that much power. I don't know. Anyways, that's what the words that came back to me, at least. And between September and October was like some of the most traumatic days of my life to date. Some of it, but it got more traumatic. So in that process, I'm also in the middle of wedding planning, because that November my husband and I got married. It was really, really crazy to like basically lose everything and then find things again. So during our wedding, which we got married in Jamaica, we were there for a week and a half. It was the best week and a half really of my life. Not just because I got married. Obviously, you know, the wedding was a big deal, but because I was away from everything and everyone. I had a moment to breathe. I didn't have a bunch of clients or the building owners or the other residents of the building calling me. I had an old friend at that time who had helped me get a job that just did not work for my schedule at all. So I worked there all 3 days, never even got paid from that job. She was mad because I didn't keep the job, and as a result of that and probably some other things, we're unfortunately no longer friends. But like all of that was going on just before my wedding day, so it was super stressful. So that trip to Jamaica to actually just relax, sit on the beach, explore the country was so much needed in a way that I didn't even think it would have been when we first started planning it. And that was my first opportunity to really get away from everything and to really think about myself and my goals and what I really wanted out of all of this. And it was also the first time that I actually gained a little bit of weight in a while. I hadn't really gained much weight since having my daughter until we went to Jamaica. Part of it is because the food is amazing, but another part of it was that I wasn't really stressing. I wasn't so focused on everyone else. I hadn't realized until we got married that I had focused my own personal self, my energies on everyone else. The entire building, I was running around making sure so many other people were taken care of that I wasn't really taking care of myself. Even when I wasn't in the building, in the back of my head there was always these things about what was going on in the building and what could I do to make that better, not just for my clients that were there, but for the other customers that were there. And when it all kind of blew up, at first I just really thought it was just like the worst thing that could happen. There were a lot of tears, but as time went on, I realized that it was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it pushed me outside of my comfort zone and it taught me a lot. I won't go into all of the lessons, and we are getting into the mentality portion of it. So after we got married and came back, we roll around to 2019. In the beginning of the year, I realized, like, you know what, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm going to go and continue to build what I feel needs to be built out of Case, and I have been doing that since I made that statement to myself of like, I'm not going to let this define my business. I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let this destroy who I am. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what I need to do. And in the process of doing that, I actually started to find myself a little bit more. So where the real turning point was October of 2019. I went back to the gym for the first time in, it was 2019, so 4 years, I think, because I had my daughter, I was pregnant in 2016, so yeah, so 3 years, yeah, so it had been a little over 3 years since I had even been inside of the gym. I'd worked out at home a little bit, but the gym was really like my joy. And fitness wasn't really just fitness for me. It was that time away from everyone else and everything else, just like Jamaica was, in that time to actually breathe and realize who I am. And in that process, between Jamaica in 2018 and the gym return in 2019, I realized that I had to do a lot more for me. And that while CASE is very important to me and helping small businesses is very important to me, one thing that was even more important to me was mothers. And it took me a little while to figure out how it was that I wanted to help moms, but I knew that that was a passion of mine, and it actually reached back to way before the story ever began, and I didn't realize that until actually just about a month ago from another conversation. But in the process of going and working out, returning to work, reading again, all of those things started to fuel me to realize that I wasn't taking care of myself, and although I thought I was happy, I wasn't. And I remember having an argument actually with my husband about like whether or not I was happy, and I was like, yes, I'm happy, like leave me alone. But the reality was that I really wasn't. And when I had that shift in my mentality and I made the decision to say, you know what, I really enjoyed going to the gym, so I'm going to go back. I'm not going to keep making excuses about my time, excuses about having a daughter, and all these reasons why I can't do all the things that I really love to do. And so I just started to change my thought process of what needed to be done and how important it was to me. So October through December, I really heavily tracked like my progress in the gym, and that's when I really started reading more. I was doing great at work, and aside from some other things that happened at that time frame, for me personally, I saw a lot of growth. For myself, I saw a lot of changes, and at that time was when things started to even shift in my relationship. Not that things were necessarily still bad in my marriage or my relationship with my husband, but I saw a lot of things blossom that had been there before, but we've been together 10 years now, so at that point 9 years, and so there were certain things that over time had kind of gotten lost a little bit. And when I started to find myself more, I saw that those things started to come back, and our relationship got a whole lot better. I saw that there were different ways that I was inspiring my daughter, and that our relationship got better. Although I wasn't spending as much time with her as I had been when I was staying home, because the time that I was spending with her was such a high quality, it was better. I would take videos of myself working out all the time, and sometimes I would send them to my husband, or I would post them on Instagram, or both, and she would see them like, oh, that's mommy exercising. And so she got into watching me work out and trying to replicate different things that she saw me doing. And that was another thing that helped in our relationship. And when I did spend time with her, I felt so much better about myself, that little things that might have frustrated me before didn't frustrate me to the same extent anymore. And so I had much more patience and understanding with my toddler than I did when I was just following her around all day and my entire life was about her. So fast forward to 2020. See, we're starting to catch up here. As you guys all know, COVID-19 kind of took a shining in 2020, stole the spotlight a bit, but it actually was another thing that ended up being pretty good for me, right? So March, towards the end of March is when Michigan decided that, everyone needed to shut down. And so that included my job. So the last like 2 or 3 days of March, I didn't work. I came home and I no longer could go to the gym, which really sucked. And I was back to home workouts, but I did okay. And if you follow my fitness journey, you'll actually see to some extent where I stopped and picked back up, but I'm not really consistent on that page. But it was working out, and one of the days while I was working out, I started to bleed, and I'm like, that's kind of odd, like that's never happened before. So I was like, maybe it's just my regular cycle and it's off a little bit. Well, come to find out, I was actually pregnant. So did not know that. And at first I remember feeling like really frustrated because I put so much work in between October and it was in March that I was like, this is not okay. Like, I have abs. I'm starting to get the body that I actually have been working for. I'm starting to feel good about my body, and now I'm going to go through this roller coaster of pregnancy again. So it wasn't really super, super excited. Plus, it wasn't planned, and I'm really big on planning. So the first few days, I was like not excited about it at all, and a little frustrated because of what I kind of expected to happen. But then I started to like really look at my family and appreciate things, and it was like, yeah, this is actually really great. We do want a second child. I just thought, I had a few more months, maybe another year before we would do that. And so I ended up getting really, really excited and started looking at different names and things like that, just like we did when we had our daughter. We actually had 2 names picked out, one for a boy, one for a girl, before we ever knew what we were having. And so I started to get really excited and was looking at maternity clothes and all that, and then I got to see my baby, and that was so wonderful to me. It was different because my husband wasn't there with me as he had been with our daughter. Because of COVID, I had to go by myself and all that kind of stuff, but it was still so exciting, and I remember being so happy when I found out. So because of what happened during my workout, I ended up stopping working out completely and was like, you know what, no, I'm not going to do that, because I seriously want to make sure that everything's good with my child. So Mother's Day rolls around, and at that point we tell the grandparents, because at this point I'm about 10 or 11 weeks. I'm so excited that, we're going to have our second child, and they thought it was possibly a boy, but they didn't know because it was still pretty early. So yeah, I was really, really excited. May 18th, I started spotting again, and it was just like, okay, maybe I was doing too much because I was still basically doing everything that I normally did. I knew that something was kind of off, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to rest for the whole day. I told my husband what was going on, and the bleeding just like started to get worse. And I ended up calling my doctor and going into ER. I'm like, okay, something's not right. Long story short, I ended up having a miscarriage by the next day, and like everything going through, and that was the most traumatic, not just one of the most, like what I said about the office, that was pretty traumatic, but that was the most traumatic thing to ever happen to me. And I just really lost like a lot of motivation and a lot of energy to do different things and desire to do things, because I had lost so much, and it was a very vivid experience. Okay guys, I had to completely change the video because my phone is acting crazy. Of course, on the day that I decided to record this, my phone's acting crazy. So I apologize for the audio change, the bouncing, all that kind of stuff, but I had to switch over to my iPad. because my phone's acting kind of crazy right now, and that's usually what I use to record my videos. So, what I was talking about was the fact that I went through this miscarriage. I can't. Ooh, that might stop the bouncing. Fingers crossed that I don't drop this thing. And I might be a little crooked now, but anyways, I had gone through having a miscarriage and was like just not at all motivated to do anything, and it was like really, really traumatic. I don't know how many people watching have experienced it or know someone who's experienced it, and there was just like this really deep empty feeling in my life. I don't even need this anymore. And so what I noticed for myself was that like I'd given up on a lot of my goals for a while, and I just stopped caring. If you remember the photo that I showed you at the beginning of this video, I was really like starting to gain weight. And if you look at like where I was prior to that, I mean, obviously a lot of it was because I was pregnant, but I didn't really do anything about it once I wasn't anymore for a few months, which is normal. I needed to take that time to readjust and realize like what had really just happened, because I had just gotten to a place where I fully accepted and embraced being pregnant, and then it was just like, nah, nope, not today. So yeah, it was a really, really rough time, but like the point of this video is it was about mentality, and I had to really get my mind back into the right frame and say like, hey, you know, this happens to me, it happens to women all the time. It sucks, it's not fun, it hurts, and there's a bunch of other ways that I could describe it also, but it happened, and there's nothing that I can do about that. I can spend the rest of this time moping instead, which I did plenty of that. I'm not gonna act like I didn't. I did plenty of that, and I feel very deserving in doing that. Or I can get back to doing everything that I'm meant to do, everything that I'm supposed to do. And it was making that change that made me go through and start the Balanced Mom, the Facebook group that I have. And I actually wanted to start that group prior to becoming pregnant. I didn't know what I was going to call it. My husband actually helped me with the name of the group. I had all sorts of like really, really awful names I thought were okay, but he helped me figure that out. So I got the name of the group figured out. I didn't launch it right away because, for one, once I figured everything out, then my life got kind of flipped on its back. And once I made that switch, I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I didn't really talk to anyone. This is actually my first time really talking about it, other than like to family members, or I mentioned it a time or two in the group in comments, but I never made like a full-fledged like post or share about it. This is the first time I'm talking about it, and it was difficult, but the biggest thing that changed it was my mindset, me saying like, okay, this happened to me, this happens to women all the time, and I can let it make me, or I can show myself that I'm stronger than this, I'm better than this. And I also had a little girl to take care of still, you know. I couldn't just stop. I couldn't just quit because something didn't go the way that I planned. And it really is that simple, at least to me. It was literally that simple. It's like, this just didn't go the way that you planned, Elena. Like, get up, keep moving, get to it. You have other things that you have to do. You have other things that you need to do for yourself. It started with, like I said, it started with the group. It started with the Balanced Mom being created, and when I saw that there were so many other mothers out there, and not like the group isn't huge, it's a small group, but when I just saw that there were so many other mothers out there that were dealing with issues and balance in their lives, just like I had prior to my miscarriage, it was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, what I was going to do before, it's still important, it still means something. And when I kept that in my head of like, get up, do what's important, do what you need to do, and don't let this make you. And that was the thing that really changed. And I have to get back to this, but we were doing family walks for a little while, and that was kind of helping me bring down some of the extra fat that I had put on for being pregnant for a couple months. And then it was like, you know what, I'm not the only one. Like, everyone's also in quarantine right now. So yeah, I got pregnant, but I was also pregnant and in quarantine. I wasn't going to the gym anymore, I wasn't working out at home. I was like, I wonder if some of these other moms could benefit from an ab challenge. And that's what we did in July. And I just dedicated myself to 3 days working out. And you guys saw the results at the very beginning of the video of what 30 days of consistency looked like. And technically it wasn't really a full 30 days because I only worked out 3 days out of the week for, I believe it was 5 weeks that were in July. You guys can go back and look at the calendar if you want to know for sure. But yeah, but it was all about mindset, and it was all about whether or not I was going to dedicate myself to the goals that I had, the goal of creating this group, that I had a goal of getting 100 members by August. I think I started the group in June, and we're at like 160 members now, which is crazy. Like, we reached our 100 member goal that I had personally set for August. We reached that goal the first month of launching the group. So it was like really, really impactful, at least in my opinion, that we were able to do such great numbers. And then they continuously grew, and I saw that I really was doing what I needed to do, and my life started to go right back on that path that it had started on back in October of last year, where I really opened up my mind to accept the things that I needed to do for myself, and realize, like, hey, this is truly what you need to be doing, and starting to feel fulfilled again. And I started that in October, and then after my miscarriage, I had to restart that again in June. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a huge roller coaster. I'm sure there are people out there who've been through a heck of a lot more than I have, but regardless of what it is that you're going through, regardless of what it is that has happened to you, for you, against you, it really boils down to your mind. It really boils down to what it is that you believe, what it is that you feel, what it is that you're thinking, as far as how you pull through it. Because before I put my mind in check after my miscarriage, I was just a mess. Like, it wasn't pretty at all. And like, I functioned, but it wasn't the me that I had become accustomed to. And I had to change my mind. When I lost my entire business, my job all at once, and went a whole year unemployed, there was, things in me that broke, and I had to get my mind right in order to fix them. And now everything that I'm building is about mentality, and every single person that I talk to, who is successful or on that path to success, it's about their mentality first. Whatever it is that you want to accomplish, whatever it is that you want to change in your life, before you can change any of that, you have to change the way that you're thinking. Whatever obstacle that you're looking at right now, you have to face that obstacle, and you have to have the right mentality in facing that obstacle in order to get through it, in order to get past it. Not just as a mom, but just as a person in general. That's so important, and experience kind of tells you that. And if you've been through anything, you probably already know, like, it was the way that you thought about it. It was the dedication that you put behind it, which starts with your mind, that will really get you through it, or got you through whatever situation it was that you personally dealt with. So I'm sharing the story to hopefully help someone else who feels like they lost everything, who feels like there's no hope left, to realize that there is. And it really just starts with the way that you look at things. With the coronavirus running rampant, a lot of people look at this very, very negatively, and for some people maybe it is really negative for them, but I chose to look at this time as a positive, even though I had a miscarriage in the middle of it. And I started to look at, well, you know what, I'm getting more time with my family. That was something that we all wanted. I'm getting more time to work on my business. I cut out an hour of driving every day, Monday through Friday, to get to and from work, or to the gym and then to work and back home. I cut that time out, so that's an extra hour that I get to do my YouTube videos. It's an extra hour that I get to work on my group, work on my business, work with my daughter for her at-home pre-K classes. All of those, you know, all of these things are happening to us, but it's about how you think about them. It's about how you decide to view them as to how it's going to shape your life. For me, this was an opportunity. I was very blessed in that I'm able to keep my job. I'm not, like, I understand there's some people who did not get to keep their jobs. And so my income didn't change very much in the process. So that was definitely a benefit for me personally that I know not every person was able to experience. But even if it had changed, the thing was, what can I do with this time where I'm not going to work every day, where I'm staying home? If you have a family, spending time with family. If you don't have a family, spending time with yourself. Like, it's all about how you think about things. And when you start to think about things a little differently, you start to look at what is the bright sides of the situation. A lot of times, if it is a problem, you can find solutions to it. For me, one of the solutions was realizing that what I was really passionate about was helping mothers, and kind of letting everything else take a back seat to that, and really focusing on that aspect. That was the first one that was like, kind of rewrite what I was doing. And then the next solution for me was to create my group and to have a community. While I created the community in many ways for the other women, I was also creating a community for myself, because I needed to also surround myself with people who understood what my life might look like. So yeah, just change the way that you're thinking. Think about things differently, because it all starts with your mentality. It all starts with how you're thinking, as far as when what's going to happen with whatever situation you're in, whether it be good and bad. Whatever you think of it is what's going to really set the tone and make a huge impact on which way you go from wherever you are. So again, sorry about this weird ending with my cricket video. I don't know, I'm like more straight now, but thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope that my story helped somebody to think a little differently and to feel empowered to go out there and change their frame of mind and go for the things that they really want and focus on their mindset. So until next week. Thank you for watching this week's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, drop a comment, and hit the bell for notifications. And remember, you can connect with me outside of YouTube also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.